My name is Tani Pereira. I'm a fourth year Bachelor of Education student from James Cook University, and this is my online presentation of my lesson plan critique for the subject Indigenous Futures. I would first like to pay respects to the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. I wish to pay respects to elders past, present and future as they hold the memories, traditions and cultures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across the nation. We are lucky as future teachers that we have hundreds of wonderful resources available at our fingertips, from the Australian curriculum to the Respect, Relationships and Reconciliation website. These resources provide teachers and schools with curriculum materials that can be used to best suit their individual classroom needs, as well as support students to become successful learners, confident and creative individuals, and active and informed citizens. As an improvement to my lesson, I will focus on the area of curriculum and pedagogy, embedding Indigenous perspectives into my planning, teaching and assessment and evaluating processes to ensure that equitable practices result in effective outcomes for all students. I will value the identity of all students in the classroom by selecting resources and frameworks that reflect Indigenous identity. Students will engage with prior knowledge, interests and concerns, and the specific learning needs of students will be considered in my planning. Younger Porter's 8 Ways of Teaching deals with 8 very important strategies and ideas that help deal with the issue of ensuring that Indigenous students and families can feel welcomed in the school setting. The 3 main strategies that I have decided to implement into my lesson plan are the use of story sharing. I'll be engaging the students with a picture book. Land links. I'll be showing the students maps linking to the content with local land and place. And learning maps, where we will explicitly be mapping out the lesson so that students can visualize the process. The Respect, Relationships and Reconciliation website for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander education provides 3 modules that address the first 2 AITSL standards, Know Your Students and the content, along with a sense of knowing your own identity. By working through this information, I have been able to transfer my knowledge into the lesson plan and ensure that the lesson's content provides opportunity for students to discuss, reflect on prior knowledge. As the QCAA suggests, creating holistic activities that links to students' learning to country makes the content meaningful and relevant, allowing students to construct meaning based on their own experiences, making them feel a sense of belonging within the school community. My lesson is based on the Great Barrier Reef, and I plan to engage students into the lesson with a fun rhyming book, Fabulous Fishes, by student Stockdale. All of the fish in this book are native to the Great Barrier Reef. The second focus for my lesson is the TWLH chart, specifically the T and the W. The T stands for think, and is a diagnostic tool used by teachers to find out what students think they know, otherwise known as their prior knowledge. The W stands for what students want to know and opens up the direction of the lesson for students. This lets them have autonomy over their learning and enables them to pose questions to investigate further on throughout the unit. The third focus is on the traditional language of the traditional landowners. As previously mentioned, I will be engaging students with a picture book. This book is Fabulous Fishes, which is written and illustrated by Susan Stockdale. I will be also using the TWLH chart, specifically what we think we all know column and what we want to know column, as well as the traditional language map that students will be looking at This covers all of the traditional languages spoken by Indigenous people throughout Australia. We will also be using this map to locate the Great Barrier Reef. The use of student-picked investigation questions within the TWLH chart links to Yanka Porter's 8 ways of teaching, particularly the concept of learning maps. Having students map out what they want to learn and investigate throughout the unit and lesson gives students a sense of ownership for their learning. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander languages are a very important part of heritage of Queensland and Australia. Sadly, these languages are endangered and could disappear in the next few decades. By incorporating the traditional names for native animals found on the Great Barrier Reef within the lesson, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students will personally benefit from learning more about their language and culture. To evaluate my lesson, I've gone in and I've looked at the changes that I've made, as well as the connection that I've made to the Australian curriculum. The first change that I made was of the text. I changed the text from the Big Picture Book of the Great Barrier Reef by Stephen Parrish to Fabulous Fishes by Susan Stockdale. The reason for this change is due to the nature of the text. The original book had limited text, and although it had a lot of imagery, the book didn't have the ability to capture the students' curiosity. Thus, I felt that I wouldn't be able to engage them successfully. I also changed the introduction of the TWLH chart. This was originally later in the lesson, however, was moved to earlier in the lesson so that students could choose the things that they wanted to investigate throughout the unit. This gives them an autonomy over their learning. Another change I made was the discussion about what the term environment means to Indigenous people. I've decided that this will be moved to a different lesson due to time constraints. I have incorporated the use of the language map when showing students where the Great Barrier Reef will be to become a focus of the lesson. Also for finding names of the animals. Students will need to use the language map to find language groups that are situated close to the reef or language groups from their local area. With connecting to the Australian curriculum, I have chosen 4 content descriptors that I felt suited the lesson. These content descriptors connect with Indigenous perspectives and link to the lesson. Students will be comparing the results with the predictions that they made. Students will be, with guidance, identifying questions in familiar contexts that can be investigated scientifically, and they'll be making predictions based on their prior knowledge. Students will be representing and communicating their observations, ideas, and findings using formal and informal representations, as well as the focus of people using science in their daily lives, including when caring for the environment and living things.